Hello and welcome back to Vooper Vlogs. I'd like to preface this with proclaiming my undying love for Mellow. That was the only suggestion I got, so I guess I gotta do it. It's a little slippery. If I trip today, that's because it's slippery. I think I have a better camera angle now. How embarrassing, I purchased a selfie stick, I know. We're really falling down to that level. But you guys seem to like the first one, so we'll continue. And since I have to walk Charlotte every day anyways, it's a good use of my time. So today we're going to talk about the Vooperian economy and the struggle to create actual value in something that is, well, valueless. The Vooperian economy, if people remember, kind of began... it was a rocky road to start. We kind of printed out of nowhere money for being active. So the first rendition of the Vooperian economy was basically the activity system. So you were getting money for being active, and that was kind of it. You could pay it to people, which was cool. But other than tracking transactions and just being handed to you, there was no real semblance of a real economy. And it was a good start to get money into people's hands, reward people for being active, but as everyone knows, well, maybe the United States government doesn't know, but you can't just print money and pretend it has value. It needs to actually be able to do something. So there were ideas that were floated around. One of the ones that was close to being implemented but wasn't actually was just making it so that you could buy things directly from the government. You know, groups, all that schnizzles, but I didn't like that idea. I don't like the idea of having voids where money goes into and just kind of creating false products. It makes me feel sad because that's not a real economy. And I like to make things real. So where we ended up heading was the closed economy, which it was a risk. You could argue that there are a lot of downsides to using a closed economy. You have to actually balance the budget. Taxation has to exist or the government would go bankrupt immediately. People are less likely to spend money in a closed economy because they aren't getting as much. I'd say that the most influential thing to help the economy in the closed economy is the inactivity tax. Come on, Charlotte. Come on, girl. Bridge time. The inactivity tax was extremely important because it created a flow of capital that we didn't have. Sorry, I'm kind of out of breath. It's like really early in the morning. And I have a cold, so I'm struggling to breathe here. Anyways, the inactivity tax was a huge thing to get the economy moving, but as we all know, even with the stock market, the new realistic stock market, which is better, but it's also worse because it requires liquidity, and when you have a dying community, liquidity is very hard to come by. But the new stock market was nice. There was a lot of progress made. But the real issue that we came down to is the product void. Wow, I'm really going to slip and fall. This is really bad. Oh, damn. VR has trained me to be able to balance without seeing my feet, which is probably the only reason I haven't wiped out 4 times by now. Anyways, liquidity is a problem, and that'll only be solved by having more people in activity. But the real issue that we are facing is a product issue. Not an inflation issue, as some would tell you, but a product issue. And I do have a solution. It's a good one. It depends on, obviously, the community being brought back and valor being brought back, but I think that the most powerful thing you can do to create a ecosystem for anything really is to put the power in the users. So creating an API which companies can use to track products Now, a product in Spook Vooper or in Valor would just be a token. Something that just shows that you have ownership of something. Really simple. I own this. Let's say we just assign a number. Spike Viper owns 3. And 3 will be the type of item, right? So let's say a diamond sword. Just using that because everyone can relate to that item. So great. And then maybe we go ahead and we assign a specific instance because there's more than one diamond sword out there. So I own the first diamond sword, so 3 number 1. Those 2 pieces of data are enough to kind of allow an unlimited amount of work to be done by transaction processors. And transaction processors are the companies, the groups, and there's a trade-off here, which is we can hand it over with the API and be like, okay, so you can track who owns what and what kind of product it is. The end, good luck. Or you could take a really heavy-handed approach and provide a store system and everything that isn't very extensible. I want to hit a middle ground. I want to have a Spook Vooper trading system built onto the API, but I also want the API to just be completely open. So there is the side effect that someone may make a better trading system and the Spook Vooper one may just be completely replaced. But that's the risk, you know, you're willing to take. It's kind of like the stock exchange. I'm completely aware that someone could make their own stock exchange once we make it so that the stocks are tradable through the API. But that's not really a bad thing. If that happens, it means that it was kind of successful. It's kind of a good thing. It's like, oh shit, our API was so good that people have used it to surpass ourselves. Which is nice. I won't complain about that. That would be a really cool side effect. But basically, all we have to do is provide these 2 very, very basic pieces of data and then create a relay where we can show a state change. And you all know how that works if you're a part of the Spook Vooper development community. That's done through SignalR. So basically you get a ping and it says, hey, something happened. Then all you have to do is check, you know, what kind of product was it? And who did it go to? Who did it come from? Very simple stuff, and then you can mandate the transactions. One thing that'll be interesting is if a transaction fails, people will have to handle that. Let's say there's a trade and it has like 800 credits that have to be moved. The person doesn't have 800 credits, so the first leg of the trade, which is that 800 credits moving, fails. Well, maybe the other side of the trade already completed, so you'll have to figure out how to get the money back to the first person. That's not my problem. This is a part of the open-ended API. This would be up to the companies to implement, and I'm sure we will have some legal cases that derive from it. As in the real world, shit breaks, and when shit breaks, someone is responsible for it, but not me. That's one of the beautiful things about Spook Vooper. Things breaking is kind of a part of the design, you know? In real life, things are going to break. Economic systems will falter. Transaction processors will have mistakes. And part of the interesting thing about the world is how we deal with those mistakes. And in Spook Vooper, the exact same concept applies. You know, we're not going to try to create an ultra soft and easy system that's barely extendable just so that it has 0 chance of breaking. That's lame. I don't want Bobucks. I want a real currency. We want to create something that can be extensible and reflects the real world. Oh, Charlotte, that is not the direction we should go in. And when it comes to extensibility, you really... Some people think that extensibility means to keep tossing features on. Yeah, let's add 8 billion fields to each transaction, so literally everything under the sun is recorded and sent. No. No, when you want to make something extensible, you make it as simple as humanly possible. 2 numbers and allowing the developers to do whatever they want with them is far more powerful than building an entire 18-layer system. Because when it comes to it, the more shit you define, the less stuff you're allowing for people to design and implement themselves. And you start coming into the standards hell, where if you start building this really rigid standard... Oh, she's got a leaf. Charlotte, drop the... Oh, you dropped the leaf, thank you. If you start defining all these standards and make them very complicated, and then at some point realize you want to change them, that is hell. When the UUID system on SpookWooper changed, that was awful. Throwing the G and U in front of things was very useful for a lot of reasons, but holy shit, that was really, really, really awful to implement. I'm not going to lie. Having to go through the database, flip the primary keys, foreign key constraints, it was not fun at all. And part of that is just, it should have been simpler in the beginning. I should have thought ahead and made EUIDs far more extendable, but you know, we don't always think ahead. Just adding a few more bits to the end of something can cause a massive headache. It's better to think ahead and have those bits ready in the first place. Now, there is something to be said for efficiency. Don't use what you don't need, but you should foresee what you might need in the future, you know? Wow, this has really taken quite a roundabout way of going through everything that's wrong with SpookWooper. I mean, a lot has to be done. Switching over, honestly, the biggest thing, switching over to the Valor user system is going to make me a lot more comfortable. There are hidden issues in the SpookWooper user system, nothing security related, but just the way it works, that are just bad. And honestly, Valor, when it comes to security, I think we've actually designed better systems than ASP.NET has by default. So it really, everything's going to be an upgrade, and having everything in one place is going to be fantastic. One of the cool things is, because SpookWooper is going to depend on Valor, what I see a lot of times is when developers are working on something, they don't actually have to deal with their own product. And especially if you have like the CEO of a company and they don't have to deal with their, like the guy who's making Photoshop, whoever owns Adobe is not using the 37 different products they have. But if he was using the 37 different products they had, a lot of shit would probably change really quickly. Like all of those dumb things where you ask yourself, why is it like this? Well, maybe if you used your own product, you would know why it's like that, or actually ask the question and then have it fixed. So because we're going to physically be forcing me to use the Valor API, I'm going to be having to use it to set up SpookWooper. Oh shit. Oh yeah, Charlotte's like, whoa. I'm going to have to go through all the pitfalls. I'm going to have to see all the challenges related to dealing with SpookWooper, or not SpookWooper, but Valor. And I'm probably going to have to change a lot of things, but that's good. By improving it for myself, I will be improving it for everyone else. And SpookWooper is going to be the test drive community. And I couldn't, Charlotte, she likes eating stuff. I couldn't think of a better community to use as a test drive. SpookWooper is medium in size. I think it's larger than a lot of communities out there, but it's also smaller than a lot of communities out there. It's right in the middle. We have insane use requirements. The stuff that our community does is leagues and bounds beyond what the average community needs. Like things like a working economy in government, the role systems, the multiple communities that interchangeably work together. These are things that just nobody else needs. This completely specific to Spook Booper. And because of that, we're going to be testing it far more rigidly than anyone else, you know? Oh shit. That. We got water. Very nice. Think we can make it over here, Charlotte? Think we can make it over here? I think we can. Oh, watch those feet. Watch those feet. We got this. Oh, Jesus, it is really slick. No, don't jump down. That's not a good idea. Anyways, where was I? Yes. When it comes to us using our own shit, yeah, that's huge. We are going to have to learn what's wrong ourselves, improve it, and then we're going to depend on it. If something goes down, Spook Booper goes down. It's not just a single Valor community. I've got my own community on the line, you know? And that's kind of intense, you know? I'm not depending on Discord or anyone else anymore. I'm depending on me. If something goes wrong, it's almost entirely my fault. I have nobody else to blame. I run the server. I wrote the software. And I built the community. There's nobody I can point a finger at and be like, oh, because this is down, Spook Booper is down. Could you please fix this? No, that's me. I mean, I could still point the finger at Jacob or any of my other developers if they blatantly break something. But in the end, who's reviewing those pull requests? That would be myself most of the time. So in the end, what I'm saying is this is putting a lot of responsibility on me, and not just me, but the entire dev team. I don't think a lot of us have ever dealt with having hundreds of people using your creation, and that's stressful. There's a lot that can go down. There's a lot that can go up and a lot that can go down. I mean, potentially in a few years' time, we may be heading a real product. Valor could be used by hundreds of communities, thousands of communities, millions of users. And in that case, we're gonna have to look back at times like this and say, yeah, we test drove this. Did we test drive it well enough? Did Spook Booper prepare us? And there's the possibility that Spook Booper was just like a complete outlier. No other community used it like that, and we had to change things, and that's a possibility. That could happen. I mean, down the line, we're going to have to ask the questions of, did we do the best we could? You know? Were we thinking about the right things? And that's almost more exciting than design in the first place. Seeing if it works. And I'm sure we're gonna have our ups and downs. If anyone remembers Discord years ago, they'd be down constantly. There'd be serious connectivity issues. There are a lot of bugs, but people still used it because even with all those things, it was the best option. I mean, Skype was just utterly awful, and TeamSpeak didn't really have any real chat capability that people wanted. I mean, it worked, but you know. But yeah. So wrapping it back to the original topic, which was the Spook Booper economy, it's important that this is done right, because community economies is a feature that is planned. And it's not just a feature that is planned, it's one of the big selling points. It's something that Discord, you need a bot, and bots are not going to share the same API. You can't have, sorry about the camera, I have to get this out of Charlotte's mouth. You can't have me6 and another bot share a currency for your community. You can't extend that either. You can't have people in the community write their own bots that use the same currency. And the currency may seem like a really odd thing to add to every community. It may seem niche, but think of it like XP points, right? It's like XP, but it's a lot more extendable. You can do a lot more with it, and you can truly reward your community. And with the product system, it doesn't only fit for products, but things like awards. Well, now you can give people awards that'll show up on their profile and will be there forever. The Valor system is tracking it. You don't have to worry about setting that stuff up yourself. There's already a way to do it. Awards, even connecting it to items in games. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. I would not be surprised if people took it in directions that we never expected. But I guess the big idea at the end of the day is, you know, a little thing like how you manage a single economy on a single community. When you scale it up, a lot of shit can depend on it. And I think that's the boat we're in. There's going to be a lot riding on the next few months and how we design things. I am a big fan of iterative design, meaning you take little steps and keep improving it. But when you have an app like Valor with potentially millions of users, there's a point where you can no longer do iterative design and you just have to get it right. You can't keep making mistakes over and over very quickly. I can't hit it with 800 updates a day. It's not how the real world works. So it's a new type of development for me, and probably for most of the team. But we'll see how it goes. That's the thing. It's exciting. There's a lot that can happen, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out. Hail Vuperia, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Charlotte, do you want to say bye? Oh, you've got to get over here, you little. Charlotte, do you want to say goodbye? Do you want to say goodbye, Charlotte? Oh, look, Charlotte's saying goodbye. I'll see you all next time. One day I'll get my real camera out here when it's a little bit nicer out.